Mount Dana is the second tallest mountain in Yosemite National Park, sitting just 60 feet below Mount Lyell. At 13,060 feet, it's a commanding presence in the Tioga Pass area of Yosemite's backcountry. While it's technically a short hike at less than 7 miles round trip, it's very tough with an almost relentless uphill slog that climbs over 1,000 feet in the last 3/4 of a mile. Once you make it to the top, you're greeted with one of the best summit views in California, with the backcountry of Yosemite one way and Mono Lake and Highway 395 the other way. Here's all the information on this awesome summit hike in Yosemite National Park, and let me know what you think in the comments. We stayed in Mammoth Lakes the night before and made the 45-minute early morning drive up to Tioga Pass. This is an incredible drive by itself, but make sure your brakes are working for the way back down. Along the way, you'll see multiple high-altitude lakes, waterfalls, and tons of peaks. This road climbs all the way to just under 10,000 feet, and that's where the trail begins for the hike. The trailhead is right across from the Yosemite National Park entry station, but if you don't have a reservation to get in, there's actually a parking area right before the entry that you can use. Also note that this road is closed most of the winter, so you can only really hike this trail in the summer.
Met up with my friend Kirby again, and today we're hiking Mount Dana in Yosemite.
From here, you'll start the 7-mile round trip trail to the summit. The trail begins by walking through a flat shaded area for the first half mile. Along the way, you'll see a few different lakes that had some stunning views in the early morning light for us.
Nothing like an early morning in Yosemite. That reflection, it's calm, incredible.
If you get on the trail early like us, be sure to enjoy this first section. It's a nice flat introduction to the trail, and it was incredibly quiet with just the birds greeting us as we hiked. This is also basically the only part of the trail that has any shade at all.
So we're about a half mile in, and we've been going basically flat the entire time with some shade, but we're about to leave the tree line and go uphill the entire rest of the way.
As nice as the first half mile is, the rest of the trail is pretty much unrelenting.
There's Tioga Road right there. This trail is a really steep grade. Not much switchbacks, just kind of like straight up.
If you came from sea level like we did, then the first thing you'll realize is that this entire hike is over 10,000 feet. It's easy for people to underestimate how difficult it is to hike at this type of elevation when you're not used to it. The trail is beautiful with a few small streams that crossed the trail or went alongside of it. It was nice that the sun hadn't risen and we were in the shade for the first hour or so of the hike.
Trail just going along those rocks right in front of us.
While this trail is pretty highly trafficked, I'd still recommend having an all trails map to follow on the way up. It can be really easy to get off the trail, and it's easier to just have something that you can follow.
We're 1.25 miles in, and we're right around 11,000 feet. This has been a tough trail so far, just straight up, but man, these views are incredible. There's a little bit of snow in the middle of June, but nothing too crazy. Beast mode, Kirby. Oh, you're stopping?
Oh no.
Kirby made a good point that with the snow and like the grass, it kind of feels a little bit more like Scotland or Ireland or something up here right now.
Once we got to around 11,000 feet, basically all of the vegetation was gone except for some grass and some moss. I saw people starting this later in the day when I came back down and the sun was beating down on them, so I would definitely recommend only starting this trail early.
It's about 7:15 and the sun is about to come up over the hill. Watching the sunrise as we climb the switchback, so over 11,500 feet on Mount Dana. It's so beautiful to be able to walk up this mountain as the sun's coming over it. Not gonna lie to you, this is been a tough climb, but man, it's been worth it.
The trail continued to head up on loose rocks with great views out into the distance. We did the trail in the middle of June and there wasn't much snow left, but some years there can be a lot of snow still left in June.
That part is pretty slippery ice, so we're just bypassing it by going up this way.
Since the trail is basically rock, there are many ways to get up the mountain.
That's our first view of Mount Dana right there. That's where we started at. We are all the way up here.
As you reach the top of this hill, you'll cross over into a more gradual uphill section that takes you all the way to the base of the Mount Dana summit.
If you do this trail anywhere near the early spring or winter time, you're definitely gonna need micro spikes, maybe even ice axe. Leaving the valley views behind and we're approaching summit. This is the worst climb. It's about 1,000 feet, less than a mile straight up.
As you walk across this high altitude meadow type area, be sure to soak it all in as it's the last bit of rest you're gonna get before the summit.
Big snowfield right there. People have gone straight up it, but we're going up around to the left. The trail is mostly a loose scree and big rocks.
During this uphill section, you'll basically be looking for the big stacked sections of rock. This is the only thing that shows you where any part of the trail is, and if you look down for a few seconds, it's pretty easy to get off trail.
We're at about 12,300 feet, 700 feet left to the summit. You guys, I am so excited about hiking this mountain today. I've tried to do this like 6 times over the years, stopped because of snow or fire. I'm so excited to finally make it.
We ran into a few small snowfields that were pretty hard to go around without adding some distance, so we just went straight through them and it wasn't too bad this time of year.
There was a little bit of ice on the trail that you could kind of go around if you wanted to, but wasn't too bad. Just heading up and it is steep. Man, it's crazy to see how far we've come. Just from even the trail right there. As you're heading up this section, it's basically super easy to lose the trail. You can kind of follow the All Trails map, but I mean, it kind of all just goes up and it's all hard.
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether you're on the trail since it's all just rock hopping.
I would highly recommend you bring a hiking pole for this part, especially going down. Snack break, almost to the summit.
As you continue the climb to the summit, it's amazing all the lakes you can see out in the distance that continue to show themselves to you as you gain elevation. The trail is a legit scramble as it gets closer to the top, as the rocks are very loose and one step forward is about a half step back.
It's windy now and we're about 100 feet from the summit. It is straight up. Woo! Almost there.
On the way up, we only passed one other person doing this hike on a weekend in June. On the way back down though, we passed at least 20 to 30 people. Eventually we crested the last hill and arrived at the Mount Dana summit.
Heck yes!
Oh.
Woo!
Heck yeah, man.
Man. There's the summit marker right there for Mount Dana, and we are all the way up here.
Once you make it to the top, the summit views are easily some of the best I've ever seen on my time in California. It's really 360-degree views and there's so much prominence in the peak that you can see for days. While we were hanging out, a marmot came to join us and tried to steal some of our food. After we shooted away, it was pretty cool to see it just hanging out at the summit with us. Looking in one direction, you have the Yosemite backcountry with many high-altitude lakes, Cathedral Peak, and even Lambert Dome. Then looking in the other direction, you have the Eastern Sierra, Highway 395, Mono Lake, and just endless views. It's one of those summits that you could easily spend a few hours hanging out at, and here are a few more shots.
That's it for our hike up Mount Dana in Yosemite. Hopefully you enjoyed going on it with us. Like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.